see. Hey, Billy. How's my audio?
I got you.
Cool. You were very quiet. Oh my goodness, I see some names on this list. All right, I'm gonna grab some extra chairs.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get logged into your LinkedIn so I can blast this out.
Cool. Do you have a disco ball in your room?
I motorized it, dude. I'm just trying to illustrate how fucking crazy everybody's going, you know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I dig it. I dig it.
Wow, now, now, now.
All right. Okay. Good morning, Dan. Eileen, Janet, good to talk to you again. Kelly, it's been many years. We're going to dig into it a bit here. Just sort of allow all the stragglers to come in. We're going to make David a panelist. And I think we're just waiting on Seth. I'm going to mute my mic here a second, grab some gear as people are rolling in. All right.
Hey, now I'm unmuted. Lovely.
How's everybody doing? Everybody's really quiet. Is everybody muted?
Yeah, I think everyone's panelists right now. We're going to promote you guys all to attendees shortly once we get it all figured out. Yeah, Jeff will be unmuting you guys soon. We're just we're getting this all sorted, making sure everyone's gonna have some screen share action going. Oh yeah, he's psyched.
All right. Okay.
Good morning, Valerie.
Good morning. I think usually what I see is like
switch sides.
we're wide angle until we get too many people, and then if we split out too much, we're both going to be off camera. So I'll just put a square in the middle.
So Nate, are we gonna in another minute or two, are we gonna be promoting everyone to a panelist so that we can all kind of share?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Let me get the lamp. Maybe next time.
no, here, let me show you how bright we are.
Oh, no, I see it. It's just like,
You guys are good. Perfect.
Yeah, see how bright that is?
What a couple.
very white.
All right. Do we have Seth on?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa.
It is. Speak of the
Oh,
devil.
he actually wore a hat. Thank God, man. That his hair was something fierce.
Hey, what's our hashtag for this?
Caving it up. CAVINGITUP. I imagine someone else already took it, but I'll happily steal that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right. Cool.
All right.
Good morning, Seth.
Good morning. Yeah, I got the allergies pretty bad this morning, so you will have to forgive me, but I'll mute myself. But today's broadcast is brought to you by
Wait, how did you get Kleenex? I've been Kleenex for 2 weeks. All right.
This is
cool.
from my personal allergy stash from before I went down.
All right, we're gonna.
I'm telling myself it's allergies too.
Right.
Wait, how do you spell Barracuda?
How do I
not
spell it, or how
Barracuda.
is it spelled? I would ask Dr. Autocorrect, but
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and.
You ask as you Google it.
Yeah, shut up. All right. We're gonna talk for a few minutes here, and then we're gonna start turning people's videos and audio on for the discussion. I'm Nate. Nate, right? I think I know most of you that are in here right now. I started my business. Billy Gold, wave Billy. Billy and I were we were laid off within the same hour of each other. And we went our separate ways. I went and started Small Biz Triage. That's what it was called at the time. And Billy went and tackled corporate America, one Fortune 50 client at a time. And so we've been through some stuff. But the guys and I were talking, Seth, who is in Texas. Did you just get the shelter in place, Seth?
Yeah, that goes into effect tonight. So.
All right. I think that Seth's mic is nowhere near his mouth right now.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So Seth, you know, like we've been through a couple of recessions together, small recessions, and he is in Dallas. So you said they did the shelter in place, I think, as of yesterday.
Yep, yeah, it goes in. They announced it yesterday, and it goes into effect tonight
Yep.
at midnight.
We've got David Begg, who's in, are you in Glendale right now?
Yep.
Which, for those of you who don't know, is near Los Angeles. We got Billy.
What is happening with that?
Well, that's what it happens.
Walls are caving in.
Wow. Can we throw a boom mic in the shot too? Billy is in King County, so he has been caving it up and hunkered down longer than all of us. He's enjoying it way too much, though, I think. So anyways, here's the deal. What we're doing is we've got a few things that have been on our minds lately. That's it.
Something is flat. And it's
Not least of which is our screen.
All right.
Hey, Billy, while they're fixing the screen, can you do a magic trick?
Certainly. You want me to do the string trick? Or I'll juggle stuff. How's that?
Yep.
Yes, please.
I really want to practice the full backgrounds that they have.
Yeah, we're not practicing today. All right, so we've been just in an effort for kind of curbing our own bit of cabin fever. We decided to start this thing up. A few very basic rules. We are not going to talk about politics or myth busting. All that stuff's well covered in the news. We'll talk a little bit about some of the realities of working from home. Some of us have been, like myself, have been working from home for over a decade and have suffered through my phases of depression with that. And some of us on the call are new to it. We also wanted to, there's been some, from a business perspective, some giant mistakes I see some businesses making. Stuff that I've made, mistakes I've made earlier in my career that I want to highlight. And I also want to get a chance for most of you to hop in here and ask questions and talk. And I'm really curious specifically how you're adjusting on the home front, working from home or working in this kind of crazy time by actually just getting anything done.
Yeah.
And also curious about, from a business perspective, if some of you are pivoting into a different direction, if you are looking to just start completely fresh. I've seen some people do that. So that's what we're going to dig into right now. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully not break things. I'm going to promote all of you to panelists, but you'll be muted. So let's bump. All right. Let's see. Okay. Okay, we all in here? Cool. So, awesome. So what's our first question, guys? The one I see you, Jeff. All right. Let's just do a quick introductions, and then we'll dig into a couple of questions, have a little chit chat about it. We're going to start with you, Jeff. So where are you at? What are you up to?
You've even unmuted me. Great. Hi, guys.
Hey, Mark.
I am in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, wow.
And I'm in my office. This is my home office. This has been my home office for the last 16 years. And it's interesting. I've actually always worked from home. Last 21 years, I've worked from home. And it's really mind-boggling to see what is going on with regards to people working from home and how the economy has really taken a shift, and companies that I've typically worked with, they've sent like thousands, if not tens of thousands of employees home with a laptop to work from home. And I think a lot of people are struggling. And my biggest challenge, and it's interesting, is, it's not my biggest one, but the one I'll share today is, my house has been quiet Monday through Friday. My kids are at school, my wife has a job, and it's really interesting. Like, now everybody's here. So I don't have typical privacy that I've always enjoyed. And it's nice to have my kids around. Like, don't get me wrong, it's great, but I can definitely feel that there's going to be a more tension building as the time goes on, just with everybody locked up in their homes, and what family life and work life looks like moving forward for the next little.
What do you do? What's the gig?
Yeah, I've got two gigs. The email company is my main business, where we provide technology and services for companies who want to do email marketing. And then my side hustle is a new venture. That's not so new. We're relaunching the email guide, where we're actually going to train newbies to become email marketing ninjas and provide, again, technology and services that will really move people from newbie to ninja very quickly.
Awesome. Man, 21 years? I mean, was there even internet around 21 years ago?
You know, I'll tell you, the internet was around. It was very different. We would use search engines like Alta Vista and Excite and Lycos. And, I don't want to date myself, but that's what it was like long before Google was ever started. But it's interesting. I was pitching email and selling email services long before email was ever the Cinderella of the internet. So when we would go into large organizations and talk to them about sending email, they're like, oh, that's just spam. We can't do that. And we're like, no, it's not spam. It's all opt-in. It's permission-based. We help you build a list of customers you want to talk to. And, I can distinctly remember some major retailers, even here in Toronto, that, we would go in and talk to them about email. And they're like, why the hell would we want our customers to read our emails? Why would we want them to do anything that, didn't involve our store? And I'm like, you are not my customer.
Yeah.
We'll see you in 10 years, 20 years, and see what that looks like. And, these companies now have very strong, robust programs where they drive traffic online because they sell online all day long, along with their brick and mortar channel. And now I think it's even more important now that the brick and mortar channels are limited. Like, we went out to buy one of these props in my house. My vacuum cleaner head broke, and I can't even get it into the store. Like, I called the store owner. He doesn't really have a big online presence, but typical mom and pop shop. And I give him my credit card over the phone, and my wife drives up and she calls him. She's like, I'm here. And the guy brings out a vacuum cleaner head, like she's doing a drug deal.
So that's a good note to pivot on drugs. Okay. But I'm gonna unmute Eileen right now. I'm curious to see what's going on with her.
Of course, I'm interested because you're.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Eileen. I'm in Seattle, and I am a mental health therapist, and I'm also a Reiki teacher. So my work has been working one-on-one with people forever and ever. And I've done some distant work over time, but for sure now it's a whole other world for me and for many of my clients. And I'm in my living room right now, and thank you for doing this, but I have an office set up with a folding screen and like a plant, and I have this whole setup when I'm doing my work, for sure. It's been an adjustment. I want to say for me personally, it's taken about a whole month to start to get my head around how I'm going forward. And while I've been doing this, as a therapist, I've just been holding that space for other people's anxieties and depressions and fears and panic and all that too. So it's been a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome, Eileen. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. All right. Jean.
How's everyone doing? Sorry.
We're going.
And doing well. Where are you at right now, Jean?
New York. Still New York.
Okay.
Say hi. I'm on camera. Did I turn my video on?
Yep, we see you. We see chopsticks. Is it lunchtime? Oh, it is lunchtime there.
Yeah.
It's noon. I'm hungry. But I'm fine working from home. I've done it. But, it's nice. I think it's just the whole. It's just the whole virus thing. It's just funny watching what people are hanging out doing in New York. Strength training in the park, and New Yorkers just don't listen to rules. The stuff that I see is just laughable. That's fine. So it's cool. This is interesting times, and good times to sort of rethink strategy and you think about who else. There's so many people who are. It's just crazy to see how everyone is adapting to online. So yeah.
Adapting or not adapting.
Yeah. If I don't know if anyone follows on Twitter, the poor Jennifer. Did anyone see that trend? Sorry, it's really some woman. She was. There's nothing really. I think it's just rude. She is a mother who's new to Zoom apparently. And what happened? She was on a work call.
Oh my gosh, I did see this.
Right? Wasn't it awful?
What was it?
You gotta tell.
Oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. And then she had to. I'm just gonna skim it because it's just awful. What happens? She had to use the bathroom, and she didn't realize her camera was on.
Drops and trousers.
And people saw her, and then it was recorded, and then someone posted it on the internet. And that is just, that's the worst. Like when you're
dropping trowel.
People don't know how to adapt. Embarrass someone, shame someone like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I was surprised. Like that person knew posted that.
Illegal to post.
Yeah, like what kind of bad karma was built up there? Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
We learn.
So it's good that I mentioned that we needed to wear pants today. Like that was a joke. I didn't know it needed to be for serious.
Thank God for low resolution. Everything happened kind of fast, but it did happen.
Yeah, but no one.
All right.
No one should have done
Wow.
that anyway.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Adventures in adjusting.
We're gonna bump over to Mr. Kenny.
Hey, Nate. Hey, Valerie. You got me?
Yep.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, we
I'll hear you.
Billy, it's been a while.
Yeah, sure has. How's fly fishing?
Non-existent at the moment, but I did get to go down to New Mexico a few weeks ago and put a line in the water. So before all of this happened.
Yep. So Dan, like you're one of the people on the call that is mostly office worker. What's the
Well, part of the reason I don't have video is that I am working from the office still. And we still have our engineering and production working. We're over in Eastern Washington in Richland, the Tri-Cities. And the biggest challenge has, of course, been trying to figure out how we're going to shift this, particularly a production environment. Where background here, since that's what we're talking about at the moment, though, I ran a product development company out of my house from 2003 to 2009, and then shifted back into corporate America. And now I'm running engineering for a small high-tech company here in Richland. We do all kinds of measurement and test equipment for nuclear power plants, military, that type of stuff. And it's a real challenge trying to figure out how we're going to support customers all over the world, people that are used to being able to get on the phone, get a hold of any one of us at any time to solve these problems and help them on site while we're from home and don't necessarily have the resources we have to grab a piece of equipment off of one of our storage shelves upstairs because they've got something from 18 years ago. How are we going to deal with this when we've got people working from home?
So have you figured it out? What's the answer?
that you know, the answer is as far as we're going, our contingency plan, which we expect to have to put in place here this week with the way things are going in Washington State here, is that we're going to have the closest people with the most experience identified as our primary contacts. And when we have situations like that, they already have letters from the company in anticipation that state that, you know, they have our authorization move between home and work, that we are, you know, in direct support of 21 nuclear reactors around the United States, that we're that, you know, have deemed ourselves, whether, you know, this is valid or not, I don't know, but you know, all we're trying to do is make it so that our employees aren't having, if they do have to travel, they do have to come in here to solve a single problem or something like that, that they are not having to discuss or fight with a state trooper or a National Guardsman or something like that, if we should ever get to that situation, which I hope to God we don't.
But fingers crossed on that.
Fingers crossed, knock on wood, you know, whatever you want to do. But that we make it as a company that they can pull out a piece of paper instead of having to argue.
Yep.
And from there, the argument becomes with the management and the directors of this company, not with an employee sitting there facing, you know, fines and all that kind of stuff. And we'll hash it out for them as much as we can. And trying to set things up so that all of this is in place, and playing worst case scenario guy, it also takes a huge personal toll as you're sitting here trying to figure out where things are going, how things are going, what are you going to do, how can you prepare for this?
So we're going to pivot the conversation to stress management. Because like for me, I'm like, how am I going to not get grumpy this morning? Like that's the extent of my stress level right now. I was like, am I going to have the motivation to actually leave my couch today? So it sounds like, so if you don't mind me asking, like, what are you doing for the kind of the stress management component?
Well, you know me, I'm building kayaks.
Of course.
Well, while we're bumping over to the other people, I want you to pull up some pictures and screen share if you're willing.
Oh, I'll see what I can do from the work machine here.
All right, cool. Awesome. Thanks for giving us a lowdown on people with more of a regular job.
I think we lost your audio.
Hey, Brad. There we go. Do we have you there, dude?
Yeah.
And Billy.
Oh, we'll let Brad tag himself back in. He's in Colorado. I guess they have weather there or something. Okay, we're gonna bump over to Janet. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you? Tell everyone where you're at right now.
I'm in San Francisco.
Whew, goodness gracious.
I like your picture. That looks fun.
I was in Montreal, I think 2 years ago. Yeah.
Nice.
You guys seem surprisingly calm and yeah, you seem surprisingly calm and like funny today, given everything that's been happening.
So San Francisco, like, well, your particular role, you've got a couple of jobs, I know.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Because I know most of your job is very much like social distancing is impossible, like in the stylist
yeah.
career field. So what are you
I've been
doing to
doing-
like stay busy and stay connected?
I've been doing more networking, so a combination of networking and writing content, and doing like just creating virtual like lookbooks.
Mhm.
So I started doing. It takes me a long time to do. I'm trying to do like quick collages, like quick lookbooks, instead of like doing like graphics are not really my special, but trying to do quick lookbooks that doesn't take me like 5 hours of trolling the internet for images, because I spend way too much time trolling the internet for images, unfortunately. But like doing capsule, like minimalist, like different sorts of themes. I've only at this point only gotten like one down. I'm just spending way too much time looking for images. I need to sort of cut that down a bit. Cut down the amount of time I spend trolling the internet for because it can go down like this deep rabbit hole once you're looking for like a specific thing. So I just decided to kind of scrap that and just go to one, just use like one or two retail sites and pick collections and themes that would like
Okay,
just
so
like
for
sort of cut and paste.
For the man with no fashion sense, could you tell me what a lookbook is? I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. It's just like it's like an actual. It's not a physical book, but it's as if you were having a physical book, and it has like different like sample like outfits.
Mhm.
Like if let's say you wanted to go very like very like sophisticated, like if you're going to like a red carpet thing, I would put together like what you would wear. I'd put together all the pieces, like the tie and the cufflinks and all the other pieces. Like if you're a woman, I'd do the accessories, the hair, the makeup, maybe the type of dress I would be thinking of, and the shoes, and yeah. So I was doing that more like sort of day-to-day stuff.
Do you feel like I mean, it sounds like a different process. Are you going to be refining your decisiveness? Is that
yes,
that's where I would get hung up in that kind of work is the indecision of how, the infinite number of possibilities. So having to just kind of be decisive. Okay, I'm going to put this together and move on to the next one.
Yes, that's exactly what I was doing. It's like spending way too much time getting like hung up on like, is this, because when I actually do the actual when I do the actual styling, like either on location or like for an individual, I'm very like precise. Like my instinct knows that color won't work or like that accessory won't work, and I cannot use it. So then like in the lookbook sense, it's a little more challenging, but I've just kind of gone with, okay, it's not perfect, but I'll just have to do. It's like 90% there, or like a good 80. Like I think my barometer now is like 80. If it's 80% like good enough, I'm just gonna leave it and finish it.
It is so hard to put out not 100% work, but
yeah.
I mean, I've gotten pretty good at it over the years. Sometimes more from short deadlines than anything else. If you're putting together content, I know what I would like to read, which is how am I supposed to dress for camera when it's just from here to here?
Yes, I just actually finished that yesterday.
Put concealer on my forehead? Like, how does this work? Do we? Oh
yeah.
no.
I put together something yesterday actually with a couple of different sample outfits as well. I was like, I was working on that. It was taking me a while. I started on it like in the afternoon, and I got frustrated and I just gave up. And then I started again like late night, like around 11 o'clock. Just my brain hit and my brain registered. And then I was just working on it, and I finished publishing yesterday. I was like, I'm gonna sit on it one more time and just like, I think the way I would do it normally, and I'm more like if I did it like more. If I was going for perfection, unfortunately, I would add all the different accessories. I'd add the shoes and everything. But this is just for for an online video thing. So I just did like the top half, anyways. But I usually would add accessories and stuff, and I just couldn't find anything in my own collection that I would use. So I just had to scrap it and stuff. Like I would usually add bracelets. I would use like a long necklace or other statement pieces or earrings. I was like, you know what? I just had to like get it out there. Otherwise, I'd spend like more hours trolling my collection of things, and then it'd go down another rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, that is an interesting thing. I use in the downtime, if you want to call it that. I mean, I'm a different kind of busy right now, and I think that applies to several people on this call at the moment. Is using the so-called downtime to work on other stuff. The challenge is, of course, is that like I'm obsessed with billable work. So when there's not as much billable work, it's a little hard for me to be motivated about like, ooh, I'm gonna rework this landing page. Woo! Like it's not super hard time doing that. No, that's I dig it though. Thank you so much, Janet. Let's get Brad on here. Hey Brad, you there, man?
I'm here.
There he is. So where you're at, what are you up to?
Well, I'm on infinite hold with another party. That's why I couldn't answer sooner. So I might have to jump off. And I apologize. I just ran across this session on LinkedIn. So I thought I'd
Yeah,
peek
right
in.
on. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Billy.
So where are you at? Are you up in Boulder-ish?
No, I'm in Denver.
You're in Denver. Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. So what have you, I mean, you still working from home. Are you, like you're in the sports space and athletics specifically. What are you doing? There's very real restrictions in your industry. Like, what are you doing right now to adjust? Are you doing what Janet's doing and Jean's doing, just networking more? Like, what's the,
I would say networking.
mm-hmm.
Just trying to stay engaged with people, you know, and going with the right temperament. You know, it's usually not time to ask for a contract or money, but just kind of, you know, having touch points with people.
Yeah.
You know, making sure that, you know, I show that I care, and, you know, it's not just about the business with them. So just trying to stay in touch with people.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is figuring out how to work from home with the kids here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you've got what, 2 kids?
Two.
What are their ages again?
They're 10 and 11. And last week they did their first round of remote schooling.
Mm-hmm.
So this week is spring break, so there's no remote schooling going on.
It's like, what does spring break even matter? Like,
So,
right now, I don't get that at all.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's nice. I mean, I break up fights once in a while, or, you know, whatever needs to be done, but they're entertaining
Seriously?
themselves right now.
Yeah.
No, are you being serious right now about breaking up fights?
Oh yeah, they're kids, you know. With the cabin fever, I can't blame them sometimes, but we've got a couple activities set up for them, and, you know, there's only so much screen time, you know, that we think they should have, but
yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
interesting.
No, I've been having a hard time like minimizing my own screen time lately. I've been like really getting cross-eyed, for lack of a better term, with that stuff. So actually, I haven't even let my wife talk yet. Valerie,
A little bit. I just gotta interject myself.
where are you at? What's going on?
Well, I let Anna know before we started our call that we needed to have that this was our live call, and that she should only knock on the door if there's an emergency. If one of the dogs is in trouble, if something's happening. But she knocked on the door to let me know that she did clean the bathroom and she made her lunch.
That's an emergency. That's a miracle. A miracle has happened. Anna has cleaned our bathroom.
And she really wanted to make sure I knew. No, I think the biggest thing for us is like having a schedule. Our daughter's autistic. She's 19 years old. So like having that structure, losing school and everything else that was in her routine was a tough adjustment, but we're pretty much to the point where we need to have office hours.
Yeah, no, it's been.
And PBS, we're really embracing educational shows so that she still feels like she's getting a little bit of fun.
The best thing we figured out that she consistently likes is Man vs. Wild, and that's not technically educational. It's got to like eats bugs and jumps off of cliffs into cold water.
You know, I've been saying for a while that bugs are the protein of the future. So.
Yeah, and then when you start using cricket flour, we'll yeah. So Billy told me a story like a day or two ago about social distancing that I thought was just dynamite. So I'm gonna mute myself here and let somebody else talk for a bit. Billy, I think everyone would love the story about the canoes.
Yeah. Well, so when I'm not eating bugs and jumping off of cliffs, I'm riding my bike these days. And so the other day I was actually about to cross this great big channel, like a 20-foot river. And I saw this guy putting a canoe into the water on the other side. I said, you know, what a splendid idea. I wish I'd have brought a boat about now. And he smiled. I went past him, and as I was exiting this wetland, I passed another guy bringing a boat in. And I said to him, oh, somebody already beat you to it. He says, oh, it's my buddy. And so, you know, on the way home, I couldn't help thinking what a brilliant idea it was to go out with your best friend with as much distance between your two boats as you feel is appropriate, and go get some fishing in. So I think they had the right idea. My observations here in the Northwest have probably been different from what people are reporting. And you know, the reason that I think that this event is really so important is I think we need to take ownership of the media. I think that's what needs to happen. I think people get this very messed up idea about reality and the way things are by being plugged into media 24/7, you know, the standard media channels. And it's like that, it's so passe, you know, like, why would you do that? So
No, I'm not even much of a listener or reader or consumer of news in general until recently, and now I found myself almost addicted. There was a few days there I was checking it like 3 or 4 times an hour, which is just,
that's unusual for you.
I know, like I'm not, you know, I rely on Valerie to keep me up on current events.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
You know, most people, that thing is appended to their arm, and it's never muted. They're at least if they're like my daughter, you know, they're always looking at it. They're always looking at it. And, you know, God bless her, my wife, always engaged with the social media, seeing what's going on, you know, in the news. And you know, she's part of the reason that we got ourselves locked in and hunkered down and supplied up so early, you know?
Yeah. So, I
have more messages. I have one more message.
Oh yeah. Okay, there we go.
And it's at every opportunity I get, I've been telling people not to succumb to inflammatory rhetoric. You know, don't let people fill your heads with like ideas that shit's falling apart. It's you know, right now there's disruption. And if there's a little bit of opportunist in you, you know what disruption means. So there's opportunities. But be well, be safe, everybody. Thank you all for joining.
All right, thanks, Billy. I want to pivot just to a couple of business things here. I've been getting a lot of calls and kind of panicky, for lack of a better term, like straight panicking, you know, freaking out. I've been yelled at a couple of times the past few weeks. People trying to figure out how they're going to continue making money throughout all this. You know, Billy mentioned this idea of like reality and delusion, and I've lost count of how many of those conversations I had. I wanted to hand the mic over to David here to talk a little bit about what's working and what's totally not working for pivoting sales, actually finding new business. Because like cash flow, we're all going to probably be making a little less money. Some of us might make more money throughout all this, depending upon how we're positioned. But for the most part, I think that, you know, finding new money is gonna be a lot harder, and it's gonna be even more of a moving target than it usually is. But David's in the trenches right now with that. I wanted him to kind of flesh out a little bit about what he's actually seeing with all the gazillion campaigns he's running.
Sure. So, I mean, the one thing that we've been able to find has been useful is finding people that are in, I don't want to say unaffected industries, but industries that haven't been as crippled. Just for an example, pet products has still been trucking along. I noticed in the recent article saying, "Hey, stay home." One of the 3 things it said you could do is said, "Oh, you can go for a walk. You can go to the store, or you can take your dog to the vet. So that's one of the things that people, will still always be, trying to take care of their pets, right? So that's just an example. But the other half of that is really switching up the messaging. I forgot if it was, I think it was Dan or Jeff mentioned that, you can't really be selling right now because that's not being heard, right? It's tone deaf, for lack of a better term. Just be, hey, I know it's everyone's crazy and freaking out, but hey, you want to buy something? No, not really. I'm shoving my money under my mattress right now because I don't know what the heck is going to happen. But we have found that people are responding well to, not just dwelling on the subject, but hey, I know this is going on right now, but would you like to have a conversation about X, Y, and Z? So not exactly salesy, but just more along the lines of, hey, I'd still be happy to talk about this to kind of prep you for, 6 months from now, when this may or may not be over. The fact is, nobody knows really how long it's going to last or what the lasting effects will be on the economy or people's health and all that stuff, because it's all just brand new. So I think ultimately, and like Nate mentioned this earlier, we're seeing a lot of companies do this the wrong way, and just send a message out there like, hey, we're doing everything with this coronavirus, but here's our sales pitch. And it's like, okay, I don't really feel like you care, right? You really shouldn't be selling right now. So I think ultimately, instead of just stopping entirely, because you can't just stop prospecting, because that'll hurt you in 90 to 120 days from now, somewhere along that line. But showing your human side, I think that's more a term coined by Nate, really used by me a lot. But just reminding people that, hey, we're all in this together, and I'd be happy to talk when things are okay on your end. But first and foremost, I hope you're doing okay, and if you need anything, let me know.
That's absolutely spot on. There was a message that I got from a podcaster who had interviewed me a couple of years ago, and he opened it up by saying that, hey, I have I've been in business a long time. I have access to tons of resources and tons of help. If you need anything, just ask me. And it wasn't a, hey, I'm going to give you money, or hey, give to this GoFundMe campaign, or hey, here's how you could buy from me right now, the COVID pricing, which I think is just, oh man, it's tough because a lot of us are going to have to start discounting. We're gonna may even have to price gouge ourselves to be able to weather some of this, and but we certainly don't want to say it that way. And that's kind of challenging. But that message stood out to me because it was without strings attached. Like, hey, I could get you in contact with someone that could solve just about any problem you may have, and I haven't figured out if I'm gonna cash in that in or not. One of the areas that's doing really well right now for certain people, not for others, is e-commerce, and that's certainly Seth's deal. Seth, are you able to hop on right now, or are you sneezing your face off?
Oh yeah, I'm alive.
All right, could you tell us just a bit about what's going on in the world of e-commerce right now, since that's where you live?
Sure. I mean, there's a couple different things that are going on. I mean, there's kind of like weird delivery restrictions sometimes, depending on the location of where you're trying to sell. And that's a little disruptive, I guess. But if you can ship it, you can sell it, and oftentimes that's going to be the best way for you to get your hands on something. So this does represent an opportunity for a whole lot of businesses, even smaller ones, to get to just say, hey, we can get our stuff to you, and it, if it's local, if it's something that's nearby, or even not, like any industry that is helping, that is giving people something to do. I mean, if you're selling yarn to people who love to knit, you're making money. Nintendo, for example, they are not having any problems right now, cash flow wise. They are making money hand over fist because everybody's like, "Hey, let me get one of those. Can I get one of those? I just need to. I just want to, chill out and play some Nintendo for like 2 months." You know, so yeah, where there's any creature comforts, things that can enhance your quality of life, even when you're when you are in a situation where you have to buckle down and shelter in place or what have you, being able to get something that can arrive at your doorstep and help make that more tolerable in whatever way, um, that's that's booming business right now. And honestly, that's kind of the test for e-commerce to begin with. There's a lot of e-commerce companies out there that if you're not providing somebody an upgrade to their quality of life, then it doesn't matter whether there's a virus or not. You're probably not really having a good time out there. Uh, so now the pressure is just on a little bit more to make sure that that's the case. There's maybe fewer frivolous expenses, but buying a big old bundle of yarn is not a frivolous expense if you're into it, and if that's how you're gonna keep your focus or just relax or whatever it is you need to do. So on the e-commerce side, yeah, if you can ship it, you can sell it, and that applies to digital products as well, like just like music, for example. Streaming everything is very alive. So there's some paradigm shifts in how people are behaving, and some of those are going to stick around after all of this shakes out. But
Seth, can I ask a question?
sure, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff here. I just want to know, look, I agree with you completely, but what do you do when, a lot of people are just pure out of work? So there's tons of people who would typically buy that product, but they're strapped right now. They don't have work, or their hours have been reduced, and they really are living, paycheck to paycheck or hand to fist. What's that look like for those e-com businesses?
Man, that's a really good question. I mean, there's definitely that is a factor, and that is an issue. Part of our job, part of my job as a marketer, is to keep the wheels of commerce a turning, even in times where folks are faced with cash flow challenges. So I mean, that there's definitely gonna there are long-term, tertiary and on consequences to just people clamming up and not stuffing money under their mattress. Absolutely. And some folks have to do that.
I mean, if I can interject here for a sec, one of the things that we're seeing is for companies that have higher dollar things that they sell, they're starting to explore the lower dollar items, the things that are also for companies that have multiple categories of product, they're looking at, okay, what's a need versus a want. Even though at the end of the day, people still are going to buy based off of the emotion of what they want, not what they need. That framework, I think, would be an effective way of looking at it. From a survival perspective, I've had a few requests in the past, I would say, month, of people trying to learn how to freelance properly and actually close deals online. And it's tough because as an online business owner, I think for the people on the call right now that actually are, consultants like you, Jeff, and Gene, and Billy, Seth, David, Valerie, that there's going to be a lot more competition coming into play, because there are people that the job they may have lost, they may just go to the home version of it. I've seen people picking up jobs in grocery store that I saw working in regular places the other day. So this is still survival. When I first started my business, I remember I used my truck to haul trash during '08. So I picked up a cheap truck, and Billy remembers I used to come into work and having to like scrub crap out of my clothes because I would drive my truck into the dump, which is right next to the office I was in. So I'd be in my like my work outfit, dumping off trash I had picked up the night prior. I think that of course not as possible right now, shelter in place sort of things going on, but ultimately I think
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it kind of reminds me of when I was in high school and Hurricane Katrina hit. And we were seeing all of these crazy aerial shots of how much flooding there was and people stuck on their roofs. And I remember watching the news with my dad, and my dad looked at me and he said, "You are never going to be stuck on your roof waiting for the government to save you. You never wait long enough for that to be the case."
Yep.
And I've been thinking about that a lot in the last couple of weeks, especially in the last couple of days, though. There are certainly going to be people out there, waiting for like, okay, government, how are you going to take care of me? How are you going to take care of this? What do I have to downgrade?
Where's my emergency loan?
Whether they end up moving or moving back in with their parents or moving, whatever they do to kind of adjust their cost of living and what compromises they're willing to make. There are still plenty of people out there that are like, all right, that went to crap. What's my next adventure? How else are we gonna pay our bills?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are a lot of people that are going to be resourceful. As it is, I'm like, okay, clearly the whole Insta Shopper thing is tanking. They're like 2 weeks behind on their delivery.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
are they going to start hiring people so that they can meet that demand on a quicker basis of people that are out there shopping for groceries that arguably would minimize how many people are in the grocery store, and
Mm-hmm.
which is good. Increasing like the ability to meet demand on delivery services. I think that's going to be huge. But Billy, like you said, there's not to say that this is a time to be opportunistic, but there is opportunity. And it's not necessarily about being opportunistic. It's about filling the need, right?
Yeah.
Uniquely
Oh, hells
filling
yeah.
that need. That's what business is all about.
Jeff, you mentioned training. There's a few people on this call that sell training. Have you seen an uptick with your business of people saying, "Hey, I don't want you to do it for me. Can you just show me how?"
Yeah, it's a great question. So I put the training out there for free because I want to cherry pick leads. My business model is if I can teach someone how to do it better, I'm happy to do so. And I know that there's going to be a percentage of the people who say, you know what, I don't have the time or the patience. The problem is my service is not for the Soho or even the SME. Like I'm really, when I look at my hourly expectation or wage, my client is typically Fortune 1000 financial services, companies that have, marketing departments, P&Ls, and a bottom line on their email programs. Because, at whether it's $150 or $275 an hour, little companies aren't going to pay that. And it's interesting, like just along this whole line, I went on to Upwork yesterday to update my profile, and I was looking at the opportunities that are available, and I can't compete against India. I can't compete against Czechoslovakia. I can't compete against, any of these places where people are putting out $6 an hour bids. And I'm like, I can't. I've got 2 kids in private school. I've got a mortgage. I've got all sorts of fancy yogurt in my fridge. Like,
show bonding.
Yeah, like seriously, it's look, we don't live an extravagant life. Believe me, we don't. But I do have financial obligations that are not going to be met by $6.75 an hour email marketing gigs. So my goal is really to look at where the opportunities lie in email. But even more importantly, I look at these shifts, where the opportunities, and as you talked about Instacart crashing and, you know, hauling garbage or whatever, like, yeah, I don't mind hauling garbage. I'm entrepreneurial. Like, if I can make a half decent bucket, I'll shovel
They
shit.
pay better than $6 an hour, that's for sure.
You know,
Jeff, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. I just want to finish on this one. I used to drive boats for a living. I was a yacht captain. Very glamorous job, like lots of fun, but not so glamorous at the end of the day. Like, you're really like, you know, somebody else's slave. But I can remember one morning I'm pulling out of the marina and I'm driving by and this lady says, "Would you believe that the guy at the pump out," which is the station that sucks all the sewage out of the boat, "they want $10 to pump out my boat." I said, "Lady, I wouldn't haul your shit away for $100. And, you know, the reality is, like, everybody has their price, right?
Yep.
You know, this lady wouldn't pay $10 to have her shit hauled away. And I'll tell you what, I'd pay $500 if my sewer line in my house was busted. Like, tomorrow I'll find that money.
Mm-hmm.
So it is that need, but really it's that want, you know, like we talked about, right?
I dig that story. Dan,
Jeff,
what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, as somebody that hires people, has hired people off of Upwork and also uses overseas contractors, I can speak a little bit to this. That the difference, you're talking about competing against $6.75 Indian firms. And what you have to prove as somebody here in the States is that the actual cost of doing business overseas is incredibly expensive. You basically, when I bring on, you know, a group in India that does some of our software development, some of our hardware development, I expect that it takes one full-time person here in excess of what we already do just to support having 3 or 4 people working on that project over there. Whereas if I hire somebody that's more local, that is in the same time zone or a close time zone, one, I have a whole lot easier time doing a background check on their capabilities. 2, I know I can get on the phone and call and talk to them. I can work with them. And yes, we can arrange things with India. You know, I get on the phone at 6 in the morning, or I get on the phone at 9:30 at night. It's not the same effective thing. And you're talking, this is a guy who spent a good portion of my product development company time helping companies move portions of their manufacturing over to China, over to India, over to Vietnam, Indonesia. And what we found in that whole thing is, yes, there are portions of that which can compete over there. But if you are trying to get something done fast, if you are trying to get something done well, and you are trying to get something done that you can implement immediately, then I have never succeeded at doing that with an overseas contract. The closest I came was with Motorola when we had a team in the United States who shut down at 4:30 p.m. They transferred it over to a team in India who worked for another 8 hours, and they transferred that to a team in Italy, and then it transferred back to the United States. That's the only time it's ever really worked. But that's because everybody had a very specific task to do. So that's the argument against these, you know, $1.50 an hour or $6.75 an hour, is the value of your time at $85, $95, $115 an hour, $150 an hour. I don't care. If you can solve their problems at a reasonable rate, then you're still competitive.
I agree with you completely, Dan. 100%. There's no doubt. You know, my motto is, if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait till you hire an amateur.
Absolutely.
And, I like India. Don't get me wrong. I outsource stuff to Fiverr all day long and use stuff offshore. It is a very different work experience. I just really struggle with this idea of going out and competing on Upwork for these bids where they've got, you know, 10, 20 bids in there for, you know, $6 an hour. And even the mentality of the people posting on it is very, it's bargain basement.
I waste a lot of time sorting through Upwork contracts, those things, just trying to find that gem of a person that's hidden in all of those applications.
All right. We're a little bit over time. And I know some people have some hard stops. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing, you know, the good stuff and the bad. We're going to be doing feature sessions on another one Wednesday and another one Friday, and continue trying to refine it. And we're pushing out an invite to, like, I don't know, another like 20,000 people. So should be interesting. And yeah, I hope you come back, and yeah, just keep on keeping on, everybody.
Thanks for doing this, Nate.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Really good.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoyed it very much.
Have a good Monday.
Cheers.
Be safe, everyone. So